Good evening, this is the evening from the New York Times for Wednesday, August 12, 2026. I'm Evan Gorlick, and we've got a sky full of wonders: a political earthquake in Wisconsin, electrified gloves for immigration agents, a billion-dollar basketball team changing hands again, and a quest to bring back the sacred glow of Bali's fireflies. Let's begin where the day began, in darkness. Europe woke up to its first total solar eclipse in decades. It started over Iceland, where birds screamed as if it were dusk, the air went cold, and darkness fell in the middle of the day. Then the shadow raced south across the Atlantic and slammed into Spain. In the tiny village of Castrillo de la Reina, perched in the hills of Castilla y León, crowds chanted "now, now, now," as the moon took its first nibble out of the sun. For just over 2 minutes and a few seconds, to be precise, the sun became a black disk ensconced in a hazy corona, surrounded by planets and stars that had no business being visible at noon. The umbra, the inner core of the lunar shadow, turned normally empty towns into instant boomtowns. Tourists shelled out unthinkable sums for hotel rooms along the path of totality. Maria Sanchez Diaz, who grew up visiting family in this region, drove 466 miles along that path and found medieval castles like Usero overlooking croplands that offered perfect, unobstructed views. But it wasn't just a spectacle. For scientists like Mar Carretero Castrillo, a 28-year-old astrophysicist who returned to her childhood village for the event, it was a rare chance to study the sun's atmosphere. She'd imagined a quiet watch party on a hilltop with snacks and scientific discussion. Instead, she got an eclipse fest, hundreds of partygoers, electronic music thumping till dawn, and a clash between reverence and revelry that played out in real time on that remote Spanish hillside. The eclipse also arrived on a new moon, which means tonight, the sky stays dark for the aftershow, the Perseids, summer's strongest meteor shower, peaking Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Fast, bright streaks with long tails, visible to just about anyone in the northern hemisphere. No moonlight to wash them out. So don't head inside just yet. From the heavens to the hustings. 4 months, the polls said Francesca Hong, a Democratic socialist and state representative, was running away with the Democratic primary for governor of Wisconsin. She had a double-digit lead as recently as last week, built on grassroots organizing and a message that seemed to fit the moment. Then, late Tuesday night, the moderate David Crowley, the Milwaukee County executive who had briefly dropped out of the race, narrowly defeated her. It was a razor-thin victory that defied expectations and may have shown the limits of the progressive wave beyond urban centers. What happened? A late swing in voter sentiment. Hong got hammered by bad press after backtracking from comments about hating Thanksgiving and abolishing the police. Crowley got an 11th-hour endorsement from the popular Governor Tony Evers. And pollsters may have simply miscalculated the makeup of the electorate. Miriam Shalev, a physician in Madison, spent weekends canvassing for Crowley. She told voters about his record on housing and cutting carbon emissions, and watched minds change on doorsteps. One woman gave her a hug, grabbed a Crowley sign, and that was that. The result echoes what happened in Michigan's Senate primary just a week earlier, where progressive Abdul El-Sayed significantly underperformed his polls. The Democratic establishment, it seems, struck back. Elsewhere on the primary map, in South Carolina, Darlene Graham, the sister of the late Senator Lindsey Graham, advanced to a Republican Senate runoff on August 25. She'll face Representative Ralph Norman, a hardline conservative who's run for governor before. Graham stepped in to complete her brother's term after he died last month. She's offered few policy specifics beyond backing President Trump and the party line. Up in Minnesota, Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, a progressive and member of the White Earth Band of Ojibwe, won the Democratic Senate primary decisively, defeating centrist Congresswoman Angie Craig by nearly 20 points with almost all votes counted. Flanagan campaigned on universal health care and a higher federal minimum wage, and in her victory speech signaled a focus on the rising cost of living. She could become the first Native woman in the U.S. Senate. Now, a story that sounds like science fiction but is very much government procurement. The Trump administration plans to spend up to $20 million equipping immigration and customs enforcement agents with gloves that can deliver electric shocks. The Department of Homeland Security calls them a de-escalation device. Critics say they're more likely to escalate force. The gloves, made by Compliant Technologies, have a user manual stating they can inhibit the subject from performing coordinated muscle movement. Former ICE officials have questioned using such a tool against people accused mostly of civil immigration violations. This comes amid other flashpoints. A Cuban immigrant who couldn't be deported to Cuba after serving a U.S. prison sentence built a life here, only to be deported under Trump to a prison in Eswatini. a small nation in southern Africa, where he may never leave. And in Falls Church, Virginia, on Monday, an ICE agent pointed a gun at a woman, Carolina Molina, 36, who had shouted at agents detaining people on a sidewalk nearby. She'd pulled into a parking spot, backed out, and was driving through the shopping center when agents surrounded her car. The agent claimed she tried to run him over. She denied it. Videos of the encounter circulated quickly, the latest in a string of tense clashes between immigration agents and drivers. From enforcement to entertainment and a staggering price tag. The Los Angeles Lakers are being sold again. Just 14 months after Mark Walter agreed to buy the franchise for a then-record $10 billion, he's selling at a $12.5 billion valuation to Bob Iger, Disney's former chief executive, and Joshua Kushner, the brother of Jared Kushner, President Trump's son-in-law. Kushner already holds a minority stake in the Miami Heat. Before Walter, the Buss family, Jerry Buss and his children, owned the Glamour franchise for more than 4 decades. 2 sales in 14 months, a 25% valuation jump, and an ownership group that reads like a power list of media, tech, and politics. Time for the evening quiz. Nigel Farage, the British far-right politician, forced a new election in his parliamentary seat after pressure over his finances. His main challenger? A novelty candidate in a trashcan costume who claims to be an intergalactic space warrior from the planet Sigma. His name, Count Binface. He ran against Farage in Clacton-on-Sea, and when asked if he'd accept the result, he offered a flowchart: win or lose, he's a winner. British democracy, folks. More top news. Climate. This year's El Niño is expected to be record-breaking and isn't supposed to peak until December, but it's already causing dry spells and crop failures on 3 continents. Panama, one of the wettest countries on Earth, hasn't had a major storm since early May. Ethiopia's fertile highlands are enduring one of their driest summer stretches in 4 decades. India just had its 5th driest August in over a century. Europe, the continent is bracing for its 5th heatwave of a record-breaking summer. Spain may hit 109 degrees Fahrenheit, 43 Celsius, tomorrow. Wildfires of rare ferocity, water shortages, and a season that's lost its joy for many Europeans. Investigation. Ecuadorian fishermen in the Pacific have been attacked by mysterious gringos using drones. Survivors describe English-speaking assailants in matching uniforms with American flag patches. 1 boat has been lost since January with 8 missing and presumed dead. The UN and experts wonder, U.S. military? Another nation? Private military contractors? Health. 5 years ago, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., now the health secretary, stirred vaccine fears in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, mocking the threat of measles. Today, that same area is battling one of the largest measles outbreaks in the country. Local officials are racing to contain it. Kennedy tells CNN the groups facing outbreaks are almost all religious communities that just don't vaccinate, and says it's hard to blame him. Politics. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt will step down at the end of the month to spend time with her family after recently returning from maternity leave for her 2nd child. President Trump said she'll become one of his top outside advisors and called her one of the best. Sports. Michael Blatt, one of the most feared NFL agents, was orchestrating a takeover of the Seattle Seahawks. Then a rival was ambushed with a crossbow, exposing a lethal feud fueled by money and power. Space. The James Webb Space Telescope has spotted a galaxy with 3 supermassive black holes, 2 so close they appear locked in a tight tango on the verge of merging. It's the first evidence of a young galaxy hosting a trio of active supermassive black holes. And high in Chile's mountains, the Mothra telescope, still under construction, captured the faint, dissolving stellar debris around the Helix Nebula, the ghostly aftermath of a star's death. Mothra stands for Modular Optical Telephoto Hyperspectral Robotic Array, designed to photograph the cosmic web of diffuse gases and dark matter between galaxies. Time to unwind. In 1982, Paul Theroux decided to walk the entire coast of Britain. It wasn't easy, long stretches forbidden, beaches wired off, tetchy residents waving him away. 44 years later, as a coronation gift to King Charles III, England has opened its entire coast, 2,689 miles of continuous trails, inaugurated by the King himself. The King Charles III England Coast Path is now the longest organized coastal footpath in the world. The vistas are, by all accounts, incredible. On screen, 4 months, fans of HBO's new Green Lantern series Lanterns had a single production still to dissect: Kyle Chandler's hand, a green ring peeking from his middle finger. The speculation was wild. The reality? The show is more buddy cop drama than comic book adaptation. Writers Aaron Pierre and Kyle Chandler play two superheroes supposed to be working together who keep getting in each other's way. Our reporter visited the historic Warner Brothers lot in Burbank and is set in Piru, 40 miles northwest. The goal, sweaty and grimy, not glowing in green screen. It premieres this weekend. Dinner table topics. Miami's skyline is going super tall, at least 10 new skyscrapers in the next 5 years, 5 of them super talls over 1,000 feet. The Freedom Tower, Miami's first skyscraper, stood 289 feet in 1925. The new ones are nearly 4 times as high. Is that a good idea? Alzheimer's crystal ball. People are taking blood tests for p-tau217, a protein suggesting early signs of Alzheimer's. The tests aren't a guarantee of dementia, but they're causing confusion and distress. One woman, Beth, 58, got elevated results after her mother died of Alzheimer's. "I feel like it's coming for me," she said. Wedding parties, do you need a big one? Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce skipped the traditional bridesmaids and groomsmen, each chose a brother. More couples are trimming or skipping the wedding party altogether. What to do tonight? Cook a classic Provençal ratatouille with roasted summer vegetables. Drown out noisy neighbors with great speakers, or muffle them with sound-dampening decor. Sleep with an eye mask. Morning light may be sabotaging your beauty rest. Stock your pantry with 10 Japanese staples: yuzu juice for ponzu, the right miso, the right soy sauce. Shop for acne-safe beauty products. Play today's spelling bee, Wordle, and mini crossword. One last thing. In rural Bali, for generations, the soft glow of fireflies was the steady rhythm of nightfall. Locals revered them as sacred messengers connected to generations past. But now they're fading. Climate change, aggressive land development for tourists, artificial light. One Balinese man, Iwayan Wardika, has embarked on a quest to restore the glow of his childhood, before his village had electricity. He's converted a corner of his family home into Indonesia's first firefly conservation facility, breeding them in terrariums he calls honeymoon suites, microhabitats designed for courtship. Have a luminescent evening. That's the evening for Wednesday, August 12th. I'm Evan Gorlick. Thanks for listening. We'll be back tomorrow.